Welcome everyone back to another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. My name is DFree. Here today, we are going to cover several things. There are a lot of things in the game that just got kind of data mined and stuff like that, courtesy of Dokkan Info. Huge shout out to that guy and all this work that he's doing right now, and of course has done throughout the game's lifespan, I guess. Anyways, moving on, the Dokkan Reddit and Goresh for the translations. We are going to cover them. We are going to take a look at the card arts. We're going to go over the cards themselves, give you guys my thoughts on them. I'm going to explain the guard mechanic because these units are actually, a lot of them anyway, few of them are manipulating guarding in a couple of different ways, and I wanted to clear that up for some people just so you wouldn't be confused with these units, etc., etc. So anyways, I hope that you guys enjoy. Hit subscribe if you're new for more content. And I don't know if there's a Videl unit here. Okay, so at first it wasn't here, but I'm glad I refreshed. Anyways, we're going to take a look at Super Saiyan 3 Goku. So here is, I guess I'll just kind of, here's the corresponding art for SS3 Goku. Anyways, moving on. Heroes units typically don't awaken, by the way, so as of right now, he is not awakening. There were some rumblings that Gohan was going to awaken with this. I don't know, but there's no data mine for him right now. Very few hero units other than Gotenks. I don't know if any other than SS3 Teen Gotenks have awakened, so just keep that in mind. They're going to be very powerful SSRs, same like the Gohan and Trunks last year. So anyway, Super Warrior of Another Dimension. STR types, Super STR types get 3 key 70%. The super attack causes immense damage. So an SSR with immense damage with a medium chance to stun the enemy, which I believe is a 30% chance if I recall correctly. Anyways, passive skill. Attack and defense plus 80% at the start of the turn. Now, he activates guard against all attacks and a further attack plus 30% when launching a super attack. The links are the standard package. Now, I want to point out that the categories are not available right now. We do not have any of these units categories, but presumably some of these units will have the ROG, Pure Saiyans, things like that, SS3, of course, but we don't have that information right now, so we'll see it when that comes out. We also don't have a full-on release date for this stuff. I'm presuming this week, though. That being said, let me go ahead and just show you guys a very good example of the guard activated against all attacks, because there are a handful of units in the game, but none has that passive pretty much better than Janemba. That's his gimmick. The same way Super Gogeta is like, oh, effective against all types. This guy came into the game, the Ent one, with the guard against all types mechanic. So there's that, right? So that's what he is really good at. And what that means is he is never defensively in a position. He's never in a position where he would take increased damage due to type disadvantage. So if you go up against an AGL event, he will not take increased damage from that opponent if the opponent is an AGL opponent at that moment where he is getting hit. That is all that means. But it also means that he just simply never, against any element, takes disadvantage. So it's very powerful. It's one of the best things in the game. And there's a little bit more to it because I believe that when you actually guard, there's a mitigation applied, weird things like that. But nonetheless, I want to keep this very, very simple. And that's pretty much what that means. So he joins a list of a few units, including like STR Ultimate Gohan, things like that, that can guard against everything. So not only is he able to not take increased damage, I want to expand upon that before we move on. He takes reduced damage because it acts as if he has the defensive type advantage. So like, for example, if you're up against a physical event with this Janemba, even if he didn't have that passive, of course, he would take reduced damage because he has type advantage. But that actually applies everywhere for Janemba. So the same thing would go for Goku, if I'm understanding that correctly, which I'm pretty sure I am. Anyways, moving on. Now we're going to talk about another unit in Vegeta who manipulates the guard mechanic in a little bit of a different way. So here we have Vegeta. He's a physical type. Super physical types get 3 key 70%, immense damage, and greatly lowers defense. Passive skill, attack and defense plus 80%, further attack plus 50% when launching a super attack, and disables the enemy's guard. So this guy is the most relevant example of a unit that can disable the enemy's guard. As you see, it's a part of his passive. So what that does is it puts you in a position where if you're up against an event that you would have disadvantage versus, so say for example, you took this guy to a physical event, or maybe you just took a super int team, full int type unit team, whatever the case is, because it actually applies to the other units on rotation at the time. And then, of course, you're up against a physical opponent. Naturally, right, you would do reduced damage just because type disadvantage is a thing. But this passive makes it to where your opponent can't actually guard from that. So you would just do neutral damage the entire way through. It's actually very relevant. It's very good if you're in a position where you need to rely on something like that. So Vegeta can take that away from the opponent. They cannot guard against your hits. So you're just going to do neutral damage, barring anything weird like a critical hit, of course. But still. So again, it does apply to the entire set of units that is present at the time. So that's very good. In the difference between these two is that in Goku, we have a little bit more of an offensive unit. In Vegeta, we have a little bit more of a defensive unit. Now, of course, before we move on, there are, as you see, different units that can do the guard against all types thing, right? And then there also are varying degrees of different types of blocking, like damage reduction, yada, yada, stuff like that. But again, at the most basic level, triggering guard is where you are able to manipulate type advantage versus disadvantage, and allows you to take reduced damage. So there also is a little explainer here that says you must be blocking an attack for an enemy from an enemy that has type disadvantage against you. So select your type and go clockwise to find the color type that you are able to guard against. So, for example, this guy reduces 55% of damage taken, long story short, via his passive when guard is activated. So when he's able to go up against a tech opponent, he further reduces that damage by 55%. And then there are other units like this Trunks here that a lot of you guys have probably seen. Reduces damage further by 40%, things like that. I wanted to just kind of go back to the Goku mechanic a little bit because that one's probably a little bit more confusing for some of you guys than the actual like Vegeta mechanic. But nonetheless, that is pretty much how that breaks down. So let's go ahead and transition into the next unit. I do want to pull the block thing back up though. Okay. I wonder if there was actually anything about disabling guard. No, it doesn't look like there really is. I'm not going to spend a whole long time. Disable guard. I'm sure there's a post on it. Yeah, here we go. Anyways, guard break is what it's called. So, disable guard while attacking the enemy. Your attack and any subsequent attack of the same turn in which guard was broken will not be reduced. It will always be neutral damage. So you just don't do reduced damage. Long story short. All right. So Supreme Kai of Time. So she's a super tech type, 3 key and 70% leader. Supreme damage and super attack seal for the super attack mechanic. Passive skill. All allies get 2 key and 20% attack and defense, plus a further 7% critical hit chance. So I believe this is the first unit that has a critical hit chance bonus that is not restricted in some way, whether it's type or category restricting, things like that. So that's pretty cool. 2 key, 20% is very vanilla, very basic, but the additional crit chance should help. But there's more. Furthermore, great chance of all allies getting an additional attack and defense plus 20%. They do note that there's a chance that you could get the additional 20% attack, but not get the 20% defense, or just the defense, or not the attack. Excuse me, or neither, I guess, or both. So that's what they're saying. So I guess that's cool. It's cool, but it's kind of weird. I'm a fan of consistency, and that's not very consistent. But great chance. Is like what, 70% or so. So it should trigger most of the time, both of them. Anyways, moving on. So we have Super Mira here, and by the way, I didn't really cover the arts too much, but let's go back to that. We have the Vegeta here. I'm trying to do too many things. Forgive me. The Supreme Kai, and here is Super Mira. That boy, that Super Saiyan. Okay. Anyways, moving on. Super Mira. Extreme STR types get 3 key, 70% supreme damage, and greatly raises defense. Passive skill. Own attack plus 100%. Attacked enemies lose 20% attack and defense for 2 turns, and he disables the guard. Again, that was the mechanic we talked about with the Vegeta. I'm not going to go over it again. Again, just neutral damage for your entire setup. Anyways, moving on. The debuff. So he has no natural defense, but he does debuff the opponent's offense. So if it's applicable, if it's something you can do, that's a very good mechanic. If it's not something you can do, then it's kind of eh. But otherwise, Mira's pretty solid. Has very good links for Extreme STR as well. I didn't really offer an opinion on the Supreme Kai of Times links just because they're pretty trash for most of what she'd be applicable to. I mean, she'd be on ROG category. ROG actually already has like a lot of really good support units actually in Topo and the West Kai and stuff like that. So I don't even know if she's even going to be used. But also like you look at Super Tech and whatever else she's applicable to, I don't know right now. She just doesn't link too well in those scenarios. Master of Magic, Rival Duo, those aren't links that are common. But Mira's link set is very good. Nightmare, Fear, and Faith, among others, right? Android is a thing. Because of Android 21, I believe she has that. If not, it's fine. not a big deal. But anyways, we have Demigra. Let's go and take a look at this guy. Extreme physical types. Own attack plus 120%, and extreme class allies key plus 3. And all enemies attack and defense minus 20%. So again, this is actually a little bit different. So the Mira needs to hit the opponent. I've talked a lot in videos about how that's good and sometimes bad, because it means you have to put your unit in a position where if you want the debuff, ideally your unit attacks as soon as possible so you can have the debuff through the turn. Meaning most of the time you have to put them in the first spot, but there's a good chance they get hit before they are able to apply that debuff in the first spot. Weird things like that. At latest, second spot, if you really, really want it for the rest of the turn, depending on the opponent's setup, right? It's not great. It's good. It's very good. It's just kind of like too finicky sometimes. But Demigra is a little bit different because he just naturally applies it to the opponent upon showing up. So that's great, right? And he also offers, well, he has 20% more attack. He offers 3 key to extreme class allies, and as if extreme units needed another 3 key supporter. That's just overkill. His links aren't as good for a lot of the same reason as the Supreme Kai of Times, but at least he has Fear and Faith, which is actually very good on extreme physical, if nowhere else. Revival's pretty solid too. He might even wind up being on the Resurrected Warriors category, and if he's on Resurrected Warriors, that's another good boon for that team. I think Demigra is very good. I think he's a very good unit. And, like, he has supreme damage and greatly raises attack for 1 turn, so he's obviously going to peak way higher offensively than Mira and probably be a more versatile defending type unit because of the fact that he doesn't have to hit the enemy. And then you look at their last mechanics they trade off. Disabling Guard, I already talked about that one ad nauseum, versus 3 key, which, again, could be overkill, but it's still better to have than not to. So I think Demigra is a little bit better between those two anyway. And then we have the 2 last, Black Masked Saiyan and then the Dark Masked King. So the King Vegeta, right? We're going to go ahead and take a look at him. Here's Demigra, King Vegeta, and then there's Vegeta. And then for future reference, this unit. This is free to play. The other ones are summonable. So the Dark Masked King, extreme int types get 3 key and 70%. I lost it. There we go. Immense damage now. We are back to immense and lowers attack and defense. So debuffing now alongside immense. Own attack and defense plus 80%. And after receiving an attack, additional defense plus 70%. And recover 10% of damage as HP for 4 turns. Wait, what? Okay. I was like, wait, he's just healing like all the damage? Wait, what? But duh, it says 10%. So he's a tank unit. Has prepare for battle, which is all he'd really need. Another extreme int Saiyan. Very, this is actually a very good, not like crazy good, but a very solid extreme int unit to run alongside the LR Vegeta. Just trigger some stuff with him, I guess. It would be amazing if he offered 3 key. Otherwise, not a huge great fit on teams like Extreme Mint. Otherwise, I don't know if he'll be on Pure Saiyans or not. I'd have to go back and check if Masked Saiyan is on Pure Saiyans. If he is, then of course this unit should be alongside the Vegeta as well. Otherwise, I think this unit's very good. Another 70% defense boost. Recovers damage, 10% of damage as HP for 4 turns. That's a weird mechanic. But the thing about that is, I don't know if that only applies to him or like all of your units. I assume it would only apply to him, but it would be crazy if it applied to everyone, right? So, very interesting unit. I'll have to kind of give my opinions on him a little bit later, though, as I kind of get the chance to use him. Happy to see the return of the immense damage, though. The villain units started, well, I don't want to say villains, because there's more villains than not. But anyways, these units started peaking at higher offensive values, but started not having immense, so it's kind of weird. But anyways, we're back to normal now, I guess. And we have Black Masked Saiyan, immense damage, and lowers the attack and defense. Attack and defense plus 90%, excuse me. When key meter is 6 or above. Interesting. An additional 30% when key meter is 8 or above. And he starts off with 2 key. The key meter is 10 or above. I wish I was 2 key to everybody. Why does it have to be his own? That would be really cool. Very vanilla unit. Like, I don't know. Like, very vanilla. Very, very vanilla. He's good. He's very good. They're trying to say he gets 120. I don't know if it calculates differently or not, but they're trying to say he gets 120 attack and defense at max key. And he can super from 10 key. That's what they're trying to say. Very good, very good unit. It's just kind of like, okay, that's probably the one I'm the least impressed with, to be honest. Just because, like I said, he's very vanilla. Anyways, let's take a look at the free-to-play Majin Buu Saga category leader. 3-key 50%. Interesting. Causes supreme damage and raises attack, for 6 turns. New power and a new ally. Own attack plus 100%, but attack minus 7%. Here we go with this again. It's been a while. Up to a maximum of 35% for every turn that passes. So they start off at 100% up. Videl and Gohan lose 7% attack with each turn that passes, which gets them to, what, 65? Yeah. 65% on a free-to-play unit. At Rainbow, I mean, you would know how good this unit would be if you take a look at, and I don't know if they'll have their own orbs. If they do, that's great. But if you take a, wait a minute. They probably will have their own orbs, won't they? Because the last one that we needed was an int type, wasn't it? I think the last one we needed wasn't. No, we had. I forgot all about Goku Jr. I totally forgot that we have a full 5 circle. I don't know if they're going to start the circle again, though. That'd be pretty cool. I totally forgot about Goku Jr. The way you can tell how good this unit would be is if you've done any testing with the Goten Trunks and Mira unit that's free to play. They're not bad, though. As soon as they start minimizing their attack and get to as low as they can get, they're still good. They're solid units. I actually was very impressed with them. I was very low on that unit. High chance to perform up to 2 additional attacks and May Stun. That's why. Okay, additional attacks. Nothing about if the additional attacks can be super attacks. Yeah, there are some units that have their additionals locked to being normals. I don't know if that'll be them, though. And then solid links, I guess. So, altogether, that is that. I hope that you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I still, I'm going to tell you right now, we've all been saying kind of wait. I'm also going to tell you that we're all going to probably be summoning. So make what's best decision for you guys. And by all, I mean a lot of us YouTubers. Make the best decision for yourself. Anyways, have an awesome day, everybody.